Alex out there, and she's so gracious to all her fans. She spends time with her fans, signs the autographs, takes the photos.
Alex Eala stepped onto practice court 3. Not center court, not the main stadium. A peripheral court at the Rock Creek Park Tennis Center on a Saturday morning, scheduled for a quiet 1 hour hit with American Ashlyn Kruger. By the time she walked off, a line of Filipino fans had wrapped along the fencing. Phones up, flags raised, waiting for a warm-up to become a moment. The crowd went wild in Washington, and Alex Eala had not yet hit a single competitive ball. She spent time with every person who stayed. She signed the autographs. She took the photos. She was gracious in the way that has become her signature, unhurried, present, unwilling to treat the people who traveled to see her as an afterthought. What that scene turned into by Sunday night is the story the Mubadala Citi DC Open did not see coming. To understand why a practice court in Washington looked like a rally, you have to rewind 6 days. Alex Eala left Manila on July 19th riding the best stretch of her career, a Birmingham grass title, a Berlin semifinal, and a Wimbledon fourth round that ended in the record books. She flew into Washington carrying a career-high ranking of 29, an original doubles pairing with Venus Williams, and a first-round draw that would drop the same weekend she landed. Then Saturday, July 25th happened. The tennis establishment booked her like a solid top 30 player. The Filipino community responded like she was headlining Madison Square Garden. She was placed on practice court 3, the kind of court reserved for players tournament directors expect to blend into the schedule. Not a show court slot, not a public marquee moment, just a working hit against an American opponent on a Saturday morning. It was the assignment of an organizer who had not yet done the math on what Alex Eala means to the roughly 500,000 Filipinos living within driving distance of Rock Creek Park. That math is now being done in real time. Reports indicate DC Open ticket resale prices have surged. Aggregators have circulated figures showing single-session averages climbing well above the base price of $28, with some listings reportedly settling near $143. The tournament has been described as very scarce. It has not been officially confirmed by the front office, but the secondary market does not lie about who is moving units. For a nation that has never produced a WTA singles champion, that shift is not small. That shift is seismic. Start with the timeline itself. July 19th, Eala leaves Manila. July 25th, she practices for 1 hour with Ashlyn Kruger. Same weekend, she shares a court with Venus Williams. Same weekend, her first-round draw lands Zheng Qinwen, wild card, former world number 4, Olympic gold medalist. 6 days. For headline events, 1 player. Then look at what actually happened on that Saturday morning court. Eala did not slip out through a side gate after a hit. She walked the line. She signed. She posed for photos. Veteran Philippine sports journalist Dion Castillo embedded with the tour and documented the whole scene. Fans who had driven in from Maryland, from Virginia, from neighboring states, waiting for a player whose match had not even been scheduled yet. Put yourself on that fence line for a second. You have taken a Saturday off work. You have driven 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours. You are standing in the July humidity outside a practice court. Not a stadium, a practice court, because a 21-year-old from a country that has never won a WTA singles title is hitting forehands. That is not ordinary fandom. That is pilgrimage. And here is the moment that reframes everything. ANC, one of the Philippines' largest news feeds, pushed a national headline that read, Filipinos from the Washington, D.C. area and neighboring states flocked to the Mubadala DC Open to watch Alex Eala's practice session. Read that back. A national news outlet elevated a practice session to headline status. Not a match. Not a title run. A warm-up. That is the pattern nobody outside the Filipino tennis community has fully processed yet. Melbourne in January 2025. The flags in the stands. Miami in the spring. The queues outside Hard Rock Stadium. Manila's International Airport after Wimbledon. Hundreds waiting past midnight. And now Washington, before a ball has been struck in anger. This is not 4 unrelated incidents. This is a rolling phenomenon, and it is picking up speed at every stop. If you've been watching this build from Birmingham through Berlin through the All England Club, you already know what the tournament directors are only now catching up to. You saw this before the resale market did. There was no press conference where a legend stood up and validated the scene. There did not need to be. The endorsement was walking the same practice court she was. Venus Williams, 7-time major singles champion, 14-time major doubles champion, Olympic gold medalist across 4 games, a player who has shared locker rooms with every generation of women's tennis for the last quarter-century, chose Alex as her doubles partner earlier this year. She agreed to run it back in Washington. And on July 25th, the Mubadala DC Open's own social team documented the two of them sharing a practice court, the 21-year-old from the Philippines and the living monument of the sport hitting side by side. You cannot buy that cosign with a marketing budget. Venus Williams does not lend her time to players she views as filler. The image itself, Venus on one baseline, Eala on the other, Filipino fans lined up along the fencing outside, is the loudest authority statement this story has. No quote required. The DC ticket surge is not the ceiling of this story. It is the pilot episode. Because in the next 3 weeks, Eala walks into 2 WTA 1000 events. Toronto, where she already has a first round bye banked, and Cincinnati right after. Both tournaments are bigger stages, bigger draws, and bigger price points than Washington. If the resale market behaves in Toronto the way it is reportedly behaving in DC, the story stops being about one tournament and starts being about a market discovery. A country of over 100 million people, with one of the largest overseas populations on Earth, has identified a sport it wants to buy into. That is not merely a fan base. That is an economy. And then comes the US Open. New York and New Jersey form the largest Filipino-American population center on the East Coast, dwarfing what mobilized in DC within 48 hours. If the Eala effect scales the way the pattern suggests it will, Flushing Meadows in late August becomes the biggest test the WTA has run in years on whether a single player can pull an entirely new audience into the sport. Southeast Asia has never had this. The WTA has never marketed to it like this. Alex Eala is dragging both onto the same court whether the establishment planned for it or not. Not everything about this weekend went to plan. Eala withdrew from the doubles draw with Venus Williams, a partnership that was supposed to be her second run alongside a legend and a genuine cosign moment on American soil. No public reason has been given. Her team has not disclosed why. What she did next tells the story her press team did not. She showed up to practice court 3 the same weekend. She hit her hour with Kruger. She walked the fence line. She signed every autograph in front of her. The withdrawal cost her matches. It did not cost her the room. Rewind the weekend one more time. Practice court 3. 1 hour. Ashlyn Kruger on the other baseline. A queue of Filipinos along the fencing. A national news alert calling it flocking. Venus Williams on the adjacent court. And on Monday, July 27th, Zheng Qinwen, Olympic gold medalist, former world number 4, waiting on the other side of the net for the first competitive point of Alex Eala's Washington week. Alex Eala did not arrive in DC as a top 30 seed. She arrived as a national delegation. And the DC Open found out what that means before her opening serve. So, here is the question the comment section decides. Does Eala beat Zheng Qinwen on Monday? And if she does she then take down the defending DC champion Leylah Fernandez in round 2? Drop your full DC Open bracket call below. Names, scores, sets. Commit to it. If you can read the Eala effect before the seedings can, this is your channel. Subscribe to Tennis Diaries, stake your prediction, and let us see who called Monday's result first. Because the ones who tracked her from Birmingham to Berlin to Wimbledon to Washington are the ones running this bracket, not the sportsbooks. The practice court already told the truth. The matches will decide the rest.